CS2 is a game all about skins, but they can get really expensive and often their prices just go down over time. But what if you want to play the game with good looking skins and instead of losing money, you want to make money on your skins? Well, you're in the right place because I'm going to show you two loadouts, an expensive one and a cheap one that only consist of investment play skins. To start off, let me define what I mean by investment play skins. First off, play skin just means that it's a good looking skin that you'd want to use to play with. I know this can get a little subjective, but today I only included skins that I would use personally. For a skin to make this list, it also has to have good fundamentals to be considered good investments. So it has to either have a decreasing supply, or at least a supply that's not growing. There could be multiple reasons for this. For example, if the skin trades up to an even better skin, then the supply constantly goes down because people are trading it up. Or they could simply just have a capped supply, meaning that they're not actively dropping right now. For each weapon in today's loadout, I'm gonna show an expensive skin and a budget skin, so no matter what your budget is, there's gonna be skins on this list for you. Let's kick this list off with the pistols. SkinSwap is a CS2 skin site where you can conveniently buy, trade, and sell your CS2 skins. Not only that, but they're giving you a free case to open when you start using the site where you could get up to $150. You can buy skins with only a couple clicks. Trading your skins is as easy as selecting the items that you're trading and selecting the item that you want. And even if you're a little short on your trade, you can top up your balance with a 40% deposit bonus. And you can also sell them your skins instantly and get paid out in a large variety of payment methods. Not only that, but they're always running weekly giveaways for up to $250, currently for a Bowie knife slaughter. So use code TechSavvy now to claim your free case, and check out the link to SkinSwap in the description if you want to buy, trade, or sell your CS2 skins. For the USP, I chose the whiteout in the factory new condition. It's from the 2021 train collection, costing $190, and it's one of the cleanest skins in the game. It's fully white with absolutely no scratches, and being from the 2021 train collection, you could technically use it to trade up to a Glock Emerald. It's definitely not the best skin to do that with, but because it's a whiteout, I just had to choose it in factory new. For the budget option, I chose the Black Lotus, and as the name suggests, this guy has a Black Lotus on it. It's from the Riptide case, and in field tested, it costs only $1.40. Now for each skin, I'm also gonna be showing some honorable mentions that are good investments and look good, but for some reason didn't make the list. I won't go into excessive detail on them, but I'll show them on the screen if you're interested. For the dual Berettas, I chose the Cobra Strikes in StatTrak Factory New. Being from the Hydra case, it's pretty expensive at $99, but of course they trade up to the StatTrak Factory New Op Onitaji. You barely ever see these guys in the game, but I feel like they look really good with the green scales pattern and the snakes on the handles, so overall it's a great looking pair of green dualies. For the budget option, I chose the field tested dual Berettas Tread. They're only 60 cents, and they feature this nice engraved copper color looking thing, and of course they're from the Riptide case, which is a completely discontinued case. And here are some other good looking dualies that didn't quite make the list. For the P250, I chose the factory new Crimson Kimono from the Rising Sun collection, which means that people are constantly trading these guys up. But it's also a pretty good looking skin, especially if you get a pattern with more red on the barrel, and this skin is just a great mix between its looks and its potential to be a good investment. Unfortunately, there's no good looking budget option for the P250, but here are a bunch of honorable mentions that you can choose from if you don't like the Crimson Kimono. Now the 5.7 actually has a surprisingly large number of good looking, good investment play skins, but for today's list I chose the Berries and Cherries from the Control collection, featuring a half red, half blue look. Now I am a little bit biased because I got one of these as a drop on day 1 of Operation Broken Fang, but I honestly feel like this skin just objectively looks amazing. Not only that, but it's already proven to be one of the best investments of the recent years in CS2 and CSGO, and hopefully that continues to be the case. Now again, there's not a good looking budget investment play skin for the 5.7, but here are a bunch of honorable mentions if you prefer something other than the Berries and Cherries. For the Glock 18, I chose the Synth leaf. It features a bunch of teal leaves on a purple background, and I know you guys are probably screaming at me for not picking the Glock Fade, but the reason I didn't pick it is because you can't use them in trade-ups. You can use the synth leaf on the other hand to trade up to Wild Lilies, and it looks plenty good enough for me to use it in game. It does cost a pretty penny though, it's $330 in factory new. Now again, unfortunately there isn't a good cheap Glock that's a good investment, but here are a bunch of honorable mentions. There's a bunch of crazy good looking Glock skins. Moving on to the Tech 9, I went with the StatTrak factory new Decimator from the Shattered Web collection, once again a skin from a discontinued case. If you love neon colors, so pinks and blues, this is definitely for you, but again it's not cheap at $100, and it's a direct trade up input for the Op Containment Breach, which is a really expensive skin in StatTrak factory new. We do have a cheap option for the Tech 9, which is the Safety Net, and while some people might say it looks disgusting, if you have an orange loadout, I would gladly use the Safety Net. In factory new, it costs less than $2, and being from the 2021 Train collection, it's a trade up input for an eventual Glock Emerald trade up. If you don't like my picks though, then here's a bunch of honorable mentions. The Bamboo Forest is definitely among my favorites as well. And now for the Desert Eagle, of course, I have to choose the Desert Eagle Emerald Yermangander in factory new. I am definitely biased because I currently own the #1 float one. If you like green, this deal is for you. But being from the Norse collection, it does cost quite a bit at nearly $300. And because you can chain two 10% trade-ups in a row to the Op Gungnir from this deagle, I like to think of this as being 1% of a factory new Gungnir. Now if you're not balling with an unlimited budget, then the Desert Eagle Sputnik and minimum wear is a pretty good option at $1.50. Again, being from the 2021 Train collection, it eventually trades up to the Glock Emerald. But that's not it. There's so many more other good Desert Eagles that I'd call good investments and good looking skins. Just check out all of these honorable mentions. Next, we're gonna move over to the mid-tier weapons. For the MP7, I chose a very interesting skin, the MP7 Asterion from the Gods and Monsters collection in factory new. While this is my pick for the expensive one, it's only $5, and if you have a blue loadout, this is definitely gonna fit in well. And not only does it look good, but being from the Gods and Monsters collection, and specifically being a consumer grade skin, there can be no new Asterions that get created, but you can use them in trade-ups. And again, unfortunately, I didn't find a good cheap MP7 with good investment potential, but here's a bunch of other ones that you should take a look at before deciding on one. For the XM1014, I chose the Frostborn factory new from the Norse collection, costing $115. This guy directly trades up to the Desert Eagle Emerald Yermangander and the other two Yermanganders, and while I can't put my finger on it directly, something just feels so clean about this gun. If you're on a budget, I'd recommend picking up the XM Watchdog from the Riptide case, and this one is insanely cool. It has the engraved copper featuring a bunch of dragons and this green emerald inlay looking thing, and for only 77 cents in field tested, this is a steal. Moving on to the UMP, you already know it. I had to get the UMP Fade from the 2021 Dust 2 collection. Being a Fade, you already know it looks great, but it's also on the new model, which elevates the look even more, and of course, it trades up to the Gold Arabesque, but being a classified, it costs a lot of money. It's $369. If you want something cheaper, why not go for the UMP Full Stop and factory new for $1.50? It's from the 2021 Train collection, so you already know what that means. It trades out to the Glock Emerald, but if you want something in between, then check out these honorable mentions. I also love the crime scene a lot. Next up, for the Mag 7, I had to pick the Mag 7 Cinquedilla, obviously in factory new, and it costs a lot of money. It's $667, but of course it has great investment potential because it's the only trade-up input for the Op the Prince. And look at how good that looks. It looks extremely three-dimensional, and I love the combination of the white, red, blue, the gold, and the red on the handle. But if you prefer something a lot cheaper, then I'd recommend picking up the Navy Sheen. It's a consumer from the 2021 Mirage collection, and in factory new, it's only 80 cents. If you have a blue loadout, this is what I'd go with. Here's a bunch of honorable mentions. Another personal favorite of mine is the Counter Terrace and the Prism Terrace. For the MP9, of course, I had to choose the Wild Lily in factory new, which now goes for over $2,300 cash, and not only does it look amazing, amazing, featuring the dark blue background with the lilies on the skin and the pink leaves. Of course, it also trades up to perhaps the most legendary AK-47 skin in the game, the Wild Lotus. Now, if you don't want to fork out over $2,000, I'd recommend picking up the Army Sheen, which is significantly uglier, but in factory new it's only 87 cents, and being a consumer from the Control collection, it is likely a good investment as well. But here are a bunch of other good looking skins. Yet again, there's a bunch of insanely good investment Playskin MP9s. And the last skin in the mid-tier category is the MAC-10, for which I chose the gold brick in factory new, which goes for $55. I don't think I have to say much about why I chose this. It's from the Ancient collection, so it trades up to the Panthera Anka, and of course, it's crazy shiny and good looking. For a cheaper alternative, I chose the Strats in factory new for 73 cents from the 2021 Vertigo collection. Again, if you have a blue loadout, this is definitely the MAC-10 for you. But of course, there's also a bunch of honorable mentions. You could get a Case Hardened Blue Gem, a Propaganda, which directly trades up to the Glock Emerald, and a bunch more. And now moving on to the rifles. For the FAMAS, I chose the factory new Meltdown from the 2021 Train collection for $48. Of course, it has all the radiation hazard signs on it in yellow, and it directly trades up to the factory new Glock Emerald. If you're on a budget, a very good looking option is the ZX Spectron and field tested for $1.31 from the Riptide case. Now again, there's a bunch of other options that I included as honorable mentions, perhaps my favorite of which is the FAMAS Prime Conspiracy. For the Galil, I chose the Aqua Terrace in factory new from the Rising Sun collection for $128. It's basically a baby blue and white Galil, and although it's extremely basic, I find something very satisfying about it. Oh, and also it's an extremely common input for a trade up for Rising Sun Restricteds. For the budget option, I chose the Minimaware Galil Vandal from the Broken Fang case, again a completely discontinued case. This guy only goes for 70 cents, and if you like dark green, then you're gonna like this Galil a lot. But there's also so many other good looking, good investment Galils, such as the Sugar Rush or the Phoenix Blacklight with its Phoenix patterns. For the AUG, I had to go with the Hot Rod. Not only does it look insanely good in CS2, but it's also a direct trade-up input for the Glock Fade. A cheaper alternative would be the AUG Arctic Wolf in field tested for $1.50 from the Shattered Web case. I really like the white, light blue, and dark red color combo of this AUG, but if you prefer something else, then here are a bunch of other options, such as the Akihabara Accept or the Flame Yermangander. Moving on to the SG, I decided to go with a factory new Hazard Pay from the 2021 Vertigo collection. Surprisingly, this only costs $180, and the reason I consider this a good investment is because it directly trades up to the M4 Imminent Danger. It also has this cute little cone on the scope, which is a nice detail. On the cheaper end of things, I chose the Lush Ruins in factory new from the Ancient collection. This is a consumer skin, and it looks pretty solid for only costing 76 cents. For the Scout, you already know it, I had to go with the Death Strike, my favorite Scout in the game. In factory new, it costs $380 though, which is quite a bit, but seeing as it trades up to the 2021 Dust 2 Collection Red, the Gold Arabesque, it has a pretty solid potential of being a good investment. On the budget end of things, I chose the Scout Parallax in field tested for $2.90. This guy is from the Broken Fang collection, and if you can get a low float version, it's gonna look even better, but if you prefer something else, there's a bunch of good looking ones, and here are some honorable mentions. Now, before we move on to the M4s, the AK, and the AWP, I quickly wanted to talk about agents. On the T side, my favorite agent is the Sir Bloody Miami Daryl. He costs $100, and just for full disclosure, I don't think it's great to buy into agents right now. They recently just increased in price a crazy amount, and their prices may start dropping soon, but who knows. But the thing I like about the Miami agent is the pink and blue shirt, but perhaps even more important are the hands and what you see in game. He has a tattooed hand with the golden bracelet and golden watch, and that is exactly what I like to see when I play. I don't actually play. But moving over to the CT side, my favorite agent is Lieutenant Commander Ricksaw, and it has nothing to do with the way he looks. The reason I like this agent is because as far as I know, he's the only agent with no sleeves showing in game. His legs are kind of ugly though, but it's also important to mention that he's from the Shattered Web collection, which I personally don't really like because Shattered Web agents drop for every single player. In contrast, for Riptide and Broken Fang, you had to specifically choose to get an agent, meaning that there's a significantly higher supply of Shattered Web agents than both Riptide and Broken Fang, so I personally think that Shattered Web agents are going to be much worse investments than Broken Fang or Riptide agents. Now for gloves, honestly, I don't think any gloves are great investments. If you really want to have one, just either go for the ones you like, or I guess the best ones could be from the glove case and the Hydra case, because those are the gloves that come from the most expensive cases, and they're just in general the most limited in supply. I don't really see gloves as investments. Sometimes they do go up, but it's extremely hard to predict, so just get what you like. For knives, it's a pretty similar situation. I don't really see them as investments. I'm tempted to say butterfly knives might be the best just because historically they've gone up a crazy amount, but most knives have. So again, just get the knife that you like the most. And now back to the rifles. For the M4A1S, I chose the Knight in Factory New from the Cobblestone collection for $2,830. It's a pretty solid looking black and gold M4, but of course the reason we're getting it is because it directly trades up to the Dragon lore, and trust me, people are gonna want to trade up to the Dragon lore no matter how much it costs. Although I chose an M4 that you can trade up, there's plenty of other M4s that may be good investments that you cannot trade up, such as the Welcome to the Jungle or the Imminent Danger, and here's a bunch of other honorable mentions as well. For the M4A4, I chose the Howl, and while you cannot trade it up, you also cannot trade up to it, and there's a very limited supply. And this guy in Factory New is the most expensive skin on the list at $6,000. And I mean, come on, just look at it. Who wouldn't want to own this? Now, if you don't have an unlimited budget, I think the Spider Lily in Field Tested, specifically a good float Field Tested, is pretty solid at $2.90. And it's also from a discontinued case, the Operation Riptide case. I'm giving away this Factory New Op Pop-Op, and all you have to do to win it is subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, comment down below what other types of skins you want to see a list video of, and make sure that you put your trade link in your YouTube bio so that if you win the skin, I can send it to you. I'm rolling the giveaway if this video hits 300 likes within the first week. And finally, we have arrived at the AK-47, for which I chose the Hydroponic in Factory New for $2,020 from the Rising Sun collection. The reason I chose this guy is because it looks amazing, it's from an extremely rare collection, and you can trade it up to the Og Akihabara Accept. I didn't choose something like the Wild Lotus just because you cannot trade that up, so its supply is constantly increasing, whereas there is a way where hydroponics are deleted. You already know what this guy looks like. It is one of my favorite skins in the entire game, and I know a lot of people share that sentiment. Now, unfortunately, there is no cheap AK-47 that would be a good investment, but I did include a bunch of other AKs that may be a little more expensive, and the AK is of course the skin with the most good-looking skins. Now moving on to our final weapon of this game, the AWP, for which I chose the Factory New Desert Hydra. While you cannot trade it up, I think this AWP looks so good that I just had to choose it. I love the orange and white color combination with the snakes with their teal tongues and eyes. The contrast is amazing, and this skin is also extremely three-dimensional. Look at what happens when it's at the right angle to the light. All of the edges are highlighted. It's so cool. The reason I was comfortable choosing this despite the fact that you can't trade it up is that it's a relatively new skin, so there hasn't been that much time for price discovery. It's not that new though, it was released 3 years ago, and its supply is relatively high. Now there is a good looking cheap AWP that could be a decent investment, and that's the AWP Exoskeleton in Field Tested for $3.22 from the Broken Fang case. This AWP is also extremely three-dimensional, and it's somewhat pearlescent as well. Some people like to call it the cheap Gungnir. And while I don't think it looks as good as the Gungnir, it is pretty good for $3. Finally, here are some honorable mentions for the AWP. There's so many good skins here as well, and if you want to see a similar video to this one, then check out this one next, where I show a comprehensive list of all the best value skins for your money in the entire game of CS2.